why didn't you apologize to Chris in your acceptance speech? I was fogged out by that point. It's all fuzzy. I've reached out to Chris, and the message that came back is that he's not ready to talk, and when he is, he will reach out.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Mel. Really appreciate you for joining me. If you're new to the channel, feel free to hit that subscribe button. You'll see a bell right next to it so you can get all my notifications. But I want to talk about the stuff that's going on with Will Smith. I really want to talk about with this apology that he has given, quote unquote, to Chris Rock. Will Smith recently went on all his platforms, but the one I've seen was on TikTok, explaining that he has reached out to Chris Rock. Actually, Chris came out saying that he's not ready at this time. But Will is answering questions regarding what was in his mind, what mindset he had when he did the slap. But I want to get into a couple different things, guys, and hopefully you can go along with me. Stick to the end of this video for me, guys, because I got some things you may have not heard anywhere else, but I think you're going to agree with me. Now, first off, Will is discussing in these videos about things that he was internalizing before he went up to slap Chris Rock. And Will said he's not ready to get into those nuances and the things that were going on in his mind at the time.
I spent the last 3 months replaying and understanding the nuances and the complexities of what happened in that moment. And I'm not going to try to unpack all of that right now.
But Will, I think it's vitally important that we know what was going on through your mind, because right now you're leaving it up for interpretation. And guys like me, I will interpret what you may be saying or thinking. I personally think that Will was thinking in his mind that I need to do something to make my wife proud of me, because Chris has already came for my wife one time, so I can't let this happen again. If you guys don't recall, a couple years ago with the Oscars, with Will not being nominated for concussion and Jada feeling like black people were not being recognized enough, she said she's protesting or boycotting, I should say, the Oscars. And therefore Will had to boycott the Oscars as well. And Chris made the amazing joke that, Jada, you were not invited. It is true. What do you know as a significant role for Jada Pinkett Smith? Every role that she's quote unquote legendary for, she's a co-star at best. In the black hood, she known for a low down dirty shame. You know, and some people may know her from The Matrix, Jason's Lyrics, you know, stuff like that. At best, she's the second biggest star on the movie, but she really ain't a star. Nobody know who she is. I mean, be honest, she's Will Smith's wife. So I guarantee that she did not take that joke well. So Will had to redeem his wife, so to speak.
After Jada rolled her eyes, did she tell you to do something? No. It's like, you know, I made a choice on my own, from my own experiences, from my history with Chris. Jada had nothing to do with it.
But it goes so much deeper than that. I mean, you guys know the story between her and Tupac's relationship, and Will never feeling like he can live up to the life of Tupac. You guys know the story. I got a similar situation going on here. I got something that I went to the head, bam. It came to my memory that Jada has been in this position once before. Jada has did exactly what played out between her, Will, Tupac, and then eventually Chris Rock. This has played out before in Jada's life. Well, not really her life, but a movie role that she was a part of. One of those co-starring roles that she had was Nutty Professor. Do y'all remember her role in Nutty Professor? Some of y'all may have forgot. So Eddie Murphy played several characters in this movie. The first character he played was the Professor, Professor Clump. He was an amazing genius. And Jada was like an intern, or she was like learning under the professor. She had been studying him for years, and she looked up to Professor Clump. Well, with Professor Clump being this amazing man, intelligent man, but yes, obese, morbidly obese, he had never had a woman of Jada Pinkett's beauty and physique interested in him. So he was enticed. He invited her on a date. That date was at a club. And at that club was Dave Chappelle's character. I know you guys remember this scene where Dave Chappelle went around ranking, roasting, whatever you want to call it, the entire audience, and eventually got to Professor Clump and Jada Pinkett Smith. If you guys remember, the scene was going very, very well. Professor Klump didn't like the jokes that Dave Chappelle character was giving him, but he was taking them like a champ and smiling. When did the scene go wrong, ladies and gentlemen? When did the scene go wrong?
Okay, all right now. All right, that's it. You got me.
Oh, no, I ain't got you yet. Should I get him? Should I get him? Oh, look at this, is with a woman too. Oh, no. Who is sucking whose titties over here?
It went wrong when Jada got the butt of the joke. When he said, who is sucking whose titties over here? It's apparent that Jada could never take a joke. Now let's go a little bit further. Now, Professor Klump was working on this weight loss formula that would take somebody from being morbidly obese to being in great physique. And after this experience at the club and with Jada Pinkett Smith, he said, I'm going to go use this formula on me so I can get this culture. And goddamn it, the formula worked. The formula worked so good, he became the best shape of his life to the point that nobody recognized him, to the point he had to become a whole nother person, going by a whole nother name, which is Buddy Love. Instantly, he went after Jada Pinkett Smith, asked her on a date, and they went back to the same club. When I tell y'all, Jada had the time of her life. I'm talking about laughing, giggling, just drunk in love. I mean, she was all over him the entirety of the night. Buddy ended up going on stage with Dave Chappelle, redeeming Professor from the night before, and therefore making Jada fall even more in love with him. But it was one thing that kept going wrong. Professor had not perfected this formula. In any given moment, Buddy would form back to the Professor. So that created this complex of him continuing to disappear on Jada. So therefore, every time that Jada would launch herself fully into Buddy, he would disappear.
Aha! Aha!
That's exactly what happened with Tupac. The entirety of the rest of the movie, you see Jada clamoring and begging and wishing that Buddy would give her the love that she wants, because this is the guy she always wanted to be with. Meanwhile, Professor is trying to console her. Buddy is here today, gone tomorrow type of guy. It's going to be all right. Maybe I'll talk to Buddy for you and try to make it work. All the while, Professor really wants to be with her. He really wants the love, and the way that she see Buddy, he wants her to see him that way. He's putting up with somebody who's obviously don't give a damn about him just to make her happy.
Isn't it ironic? Don't you think?
Is this art imitating life or what? Jada is this person. Like, she didn't have to act at all in this movie. That's exactly who she is. If you guys know the end of the story, the professor ended up realizing how wrong this was. He ended up getting rid of the formula, and Buddy Love was supposedly gone forever. And the last scene in the movie was Jada and the professor dancing and supposedly having a happily ever after. But what we found out later in Another Professor 2, they end up not being together, not sticking together. Guys, it's the exact same thing she doing with Will Smith. The professor ended up without Jada, and Will is ending up without Jada. They with each other on paper alone. They committed to a bad marriage for life. Will Smith's face looks exactly like Professor Klump's face looks several times in this movie. Disappointed, down and out. You will always be the butt of the joke. You will always lose as long as you are attached to people like Jada Pinkett Smith. This message goes to men, it goes to women, it goes to anybody on the sound of my voice. If you attach yourself to somebody like Jada Pinkett Smith, somebody that's conniving, self-serving, self-indulged, if you involve yourself with somebody like this, that the toxicity of a relationship is the only thing that they are enthused with. The only thing that they feel empowered by is when toxic things are happening. The only time that they feel loved is when toxic things are happening. You will always end up losing, like Will Smith is losing right now. For Will Smith, he's been trying to find a way to please Jada Smith. Trying to do all that he can to make her happy. And he said years ago that he realized his job was not to make her happy. She's in charge of her own happiness. But he dropped that and went right back to that with this particular incident. And look where that got you. Alone. You standing here alone facing the biggest controversy of your life.
I'm sorry, babe. I'm going to say sorry to my kids and my family for the heat that I brought on all of us.
In the midst of a man's biggest controversy, it's important for his wife to be right by his side, to show a sign of unity, to show the sign of togetherness. Jada don't give a damn about Will Smith. Let's just be clear. She don't give a care what he looks like, especially if it's at her expense. As long as he's doing something to make her look good, if he got to look bad in the process, she's okay with that. When you think about Kobe Bryant, in the midst of his biggest controversy, the biggest moment of his life where he lost everything, Vanessa was right by his side. Yeah, he gave her that massive ring, but I think it was deeper than that ring. Because she actually loved that man. He had 100% of her heart, unlike Will, who would never have 100% of Jada's heart. If you run across women or anybody in life like Jada Pinkett, don't run, sprint.